happening, guys? Ronin Man here. A lot of crazy shit going on. Very, very, very crazy stuff with the fires and insane stuff going on everywhere. Things Middle East, China, Russia, Ukraine. There's just multiple. There's almost so many things going on right now that are so important that it's hard to know what to talk about because it's like insanity on this scale, this huge scale. And like I always talk about, because it's not being talked about, men are being ground down and destroyed in family courts, jailed for unrealistic, totally insane child support payments they can't afford. There's guys on this channel who had child support, what is it called? They were ordered to pay basically the same amount that they made after tax. The total amount. Like, there's insanity going on. Guys are being put in jail for false allegations. They're being showed to be false later. Nobody's being punished. Insanity literally everywhere, right? And LA just burned down. It's just crazy. So how do you put it in perspective? And also too, like what, somebody asked this when there was a disaster coming up, like a hurricane. I can't remember what it was exactly. I've been thinking to make this episode for a while, but sorry, I can't remember what the disaster was. It was like a tornado or something was coming, and he asked me in one of the comments, he said, how do you handle when a disaster is coming? Like, what do you think in that case, right? Like mentally, emotionally, and everything. And I think this is kind of a great time to put that into this episode too, because you have so much stuff going on that is very consequential. And then you think, well, fuck, what am I supposed to, am I supposed to be worried all the time? Am I supposed to be, people choose like extreme options, right? They're just like, get drunk, ignore everything, don't read the news, or read the news 24 hours a day. And even if you do one of those two things, you can't avoid the emotions and the thinking from just being alive in society. So how do you handle something like that? So we'll talk about all this stuff. Not in any necessarily order of importance. I'm just going to tell you ideas. There's so many things, like I said, I don't have time to put it in order. But I was just thinking like one thing. We went, back to the LA Summit. We did an LA Summit in June 2022. I'm really glad we did because there's so many reasons. One, it was in Venice Beach, was great. But the other thing was we were all together the first Friday before the summit started officially. And we wanted to hike somewhere, right? We wanted to do some hiking in the hills because I told everybody that the hills above LA are special, they're really neat. Now they're all burned down, but like at the time they were absolutely gorgeous. Like the smells of Southern California, the sounds, the birds, the unique vegetation, and just the unique history of the place. I was like, this is like super cool. And then we got to do like a special hike, right? So we ended up doing a bunch of hikes, but the first one was really the coolest. And it was because one of the guys, he just said, the best idea wins, right? And I said, let's do, what do you guys think? Should we do this hike or this hike? And then one of the guys who, wasn't even a Ronin listener, he was just a friend of one of the guys who was hosting the summit actually. And he said, Jason said, well, there's a hike, like a mile away from here, 2 miles. And he goes, let's just do that one. And I was like, there's a hike a mile away or 2 miles away, right? He's like, yeah, Skull Rock. And so we were like, okay, it's right there. And he showed us on the map. It looked great. So we went, and it was great because we didn't have to go across LA in the traffic, right? So that's one of the skills you get as a Southern California person is you learn how to enjoy life and miss the traffic, right? So I saw that immediately as a good option because we just had to go a little up the Coast Highway, no problem, and then we're at the place, right? So we went there, we climbed to the top, and I did some rock climbing on the Skull. It was really fun. It was really the great way to start the summit because it was a tough climb, and I can't remember. One of the guys couldn't make it up to the top. It was funny because I read online it was an easy hike. It wasn't that easy actually, but anyway, we went up there, and it was we all took a picture on top next to the rock, and it was like this fucking thing, like, we did it, we found the cool thing. And it was also kind of like, we did the smartest thing, like the best idea wins, right? That's when the best idea wins kind of started out, right? And we went up there not knowing that was Skull Rock was the epicenter for the Palisades fire. So it sounds like the first fire, from what I'm reading and in basically inside LA stuff, is that the first fire started from a campfire or fireworks up at right next to Skull Rock. So the whole place is destroyed now. There's nothing left. It was the heat was so hot, like I don't even know. Like it got so hot, like God knows what happened. Like things just start to melt at that. The landscape becomes unrecognizable. You know what I mean? Just things that you think are immobile, they don't move. They're just gone. Like I read up there was a huge, some kind of an industrial like fire equipment hose they had, and it had these big copper like the big copper ends on it, and like it just melted into like liquid and went down the drains, like just gone. It's not even there. Like there's the copper's like gone. Like in a fucking ice cube, right? So it was like an absolute inferno of hell up there. And I tell you something, this ties into the topic because I remember like one thing I'm really good at, I don't know, I look in retrospect and I realize I'm good at it, but at the time I can't see, but it's like that Chinese saying, like crossing the river, feeling the stones, right? So you're looking at the river and you can't see any way across, but if you put your foot out there, just kind of let one foot slide around and you're looking for a rock, and then you find a rock and you're getting a good, foot, like so you don't slip, and then you're taking a risk and moving forward on that, and then your next foot's looking in front of you, and you're finding, and what that has many meanings in Chinese, but one of them is, it's kind of like you're just barely pulling shit off. You're finding a way to get through, and you're doing it kind of before disaster, So you might be doing it to get away from something or whatever. But like, I think what I try to do with my life, and now I do it with summits, is I try to go to places before things change. And, really, if you look at the channel, go back and look at the original videos of Thailand. Just go look at the bars, go look at the girls at the massage places. Just you can see in the videos, it's like there's all this footage of Bangkok. Well, I'll tell you something, that's all gone now, pretty much. And the reason is because COVID. So COVID came along and Thailand just closed down totally, right? It was just a ghost town. And many, many, many small businesses and things that you never thought would disappeared. And it's funny how people are so living in a daze they don't even notice it. But if you go back and look at that, you really got, through Ronin Man, not through fucking media, a chance to see real Thailand, the culture that was here since forever, 60s, right? Like the culture that built up after Vietnam War. That's kind of what built up Thailand, was the Vietnam War. And all the money that came in from U.S. Military, built the ports, they built the fucking airports, they built a Navy base in Lumpini, and now it's a Thai Navy base, but they built a lot of stuff, and that kind of, and then people could come to Thailand because you could land a real airplane here, all of a sudden you went from like flying in on fucking some kind of sketchy thing to like a real huge airplane, and a lot of people could come to Thailand, and it started this culture, and pretty much all disappeared during COVID. Like, yeah, the government had been wanting to get rid of these street stalls, and the basically, it's so crazy. It is so crazy, but the government wanted to get rid of everything that foreigners like about Thailand. Basically, it's Like, go figure, right? Everything that we enjoy, like, one of the things about Thailand is great is you sit down and grab a meal for like $1.20, anywhere you want, any table. It's going to be good. It's going to be healthy. And, they just said, no, we don't want street food. No more street food. We don't want this. We don't want Thailand to have a bad reputation. So we don't want that. We don't want this. We don't want this. We don't want this. And then they didn't even like think about what they want, but what they got is what you always get at the end. What do you get? You get BlackRock. You get like McDonald's. You get malls and everything. And so I'm not saying Thailand is still not a great place, but I mean, let's put it this way: if Thailand was a tom yum goong, like a nice soup, a spicy soup, it's less spicy now, right? Let's put it that way. There's less spice in the tom yum goong now. And when you got here, it was just blew you away. The girls, the weather, the fun, the colors, the smiles, the people. And, a lot of that's gone. And I wanted to bring, and I did, bring a lot of you guys, Joel's right here. He came over then. Like a lot of guys came over and saw Thailand before the big change, right? So sometimes, you don't really know what's going to disappear in the future. But I'll tell you something that I know is get the fuck out there and see a lot of shit that's cool before, because it will disappear. Shit just disappears. That's what I've learned getting older. It's like shit's just gone and it will never come back. Like never. It is literally gone forever, right? And I'm not saying it's the most important thing in my life and this and that. What I'm saying is like, it's pretty fucking cool, okay? And I want summits to do what I do in my life is to get there at the right time. Strike when the iron's hot. I went to Japan in the bubble. I went to China before the factories really came in '89. And then I came back when China opened up and it was like the golden era of Shanghai. Golden era, baby. Shanghai, ask anybody. Shanghai, Beijing, China in general. When I went there, which was like 2004 to 2014, that was the golden era. And the real golden era was I missed it by a couple years. It was pretty much like 2002 to 2009. And when the Shanghai Expo was. That was really the golden era, 2002 to 2009. But I stayed past and I got there a little bit late. But it was insane. Like the China that I was in, you can't go to. It will never be there again. Like China was open, like everybody wanted, you know what I mean? Like it was amazing. It was like, it's one of these things. It's like, that's why I want to take people to places, because you can't fucking describe it. Like, like guys come to the Japan Summit and they're like, I don't understand why, but I'm so happy. Like, I'm so happy. This is so cool. And it's like, what's the reason? Is it the fucking vending machine? It's not any of these things. It's everything, right? It's the whole tom yum goong soup, right? It's the whole thing, the flavor, the smell, the look, the way the people give it to you. The restaurant, the table, the fucking, you know what I mean? The people talking, like everything together, right? So one of what I want to do more and more now that I realize we were up at Skull Rock, that was so beautiful, man. Skull Rock, and it was a perfect day too, which LA has a lot of fucking perfect days. But still, it was a fucking perfect day. And we were all together, and it was just like, it was almost like we didn't want to start the summit because we were coming up there and we had to like rush back because a few guys were coming late to the summit, or when I say late, I mean on time, like basically when we planned on starting. And, but come as soon as you can. And like every time we're getting together doing something cool, just come as soon as you can. Stay as long as you can, right? One of the things I always try to do in my life and with anything related to the summit, I try to keep prices as low as possible. So I try to get us to share rooms legally or illegally. I don't give a shit. I want to get it as cheap as possible. Get the time of year we can fly the cheapest, right? We don't need to rent a hotel because someone's got a house. We can share a room if we do need to rent a room. So instead of 1 or 2 people sharing a room, we got 6. So the price is 1/6 of what most guys in the hotel are paying, right? And why? It's so that you can do more things. It's like, You want to see as much shit as possible in the world. There's no time, baby. It's gone, right? So you want to go, spend as little as possible, and experience as much as possible. That's the way I think about life, okay? And then don't worry about the change, okay? So my mindset is this. The world is full of things like that. Full of them, okay? If you sit in one place, like if you're just sitting in Palisades, right? I mean, it's just darkness all around, right? It's fucking sad. Like, there was so much art lost because those people up in the hills, they had a lot of art, a lot of Picassos and stuff gone. Will Rogers' house? Will Rogers' house was like an icon. That was never going to be replaced. And the whole like his garden thing that he had gone. It's just endless. Like, you know how rich people are. They don't always tell people what's up there. Like, they don't want everybody to come. But I was always a fan of Hollywood Hills. I fucking love Hollywood Hills. I always did. Remember? I talked about it, right? In the events. And everybody's like, I think people were kind of like, why does Ronin like the Hollywood Hills? Because it's like, it just, they can't like see it. But the culture up there was special. I'm telling you, I had friends in the house. It was so cool up there. It was so fucking cool. And everybody I brought up there was like, wow, you're right. Like, this is insane. And it's pretty much gone now, right? So what, if you sit in one place, if you hold on to the past, okay, it won't help you. Because you'll just, I guess the most important reason is that it's stupid, okay? Try to do as little stupid shit as you can, okay? I mean, we all do stupid shit, but just try to limit it, right? And the stupid thing you can do is sit in one area and get depressed because it changed, okay? The reason why it's stupid is because some other guy, me, is out having fun and checking out shit that is so bitching before it changes. And enjoying and appreciating the world. Because the world is full of cool shit that will disappear, right? I'm out there like just skipping on the rocks, trying to get to as many cool places and experiences as possible. And that's really the way. That's the way. It's like, the world is not just one place, right? It's the whole place, right? So, it's like, let's get out there and see a ton of shit, right? And when we do, even if we do, like if I go to the same place several times, it's not the same because we're going to different places. We're always pushing the boundaries and checking out. We're like, what's the best idea here? Okay, let's do that. Let's go here. Let's do that. Oh, we thought we could do that. We can't. We're going to do that, right? We're not sitting around holding on to things, right? But at the same time, see, what I'm saying is like, this is the world, evolution. The world started as a cloud of dust and eventually, amalgamated into like a big chunk, right? And that just like a mud clod, right? And then eventually became the earth itself. I mean, nothing was here before. Like there was all this stuff that you value so much didn't even exist before. And then it disappeared and then it came back and just like, that's the whole cycle of life. That is the ultimate lesson in life, is go strike when the iron's hot. And it's not because this is a saying. It's because that's life itself. That's the essence of life. There's moments in life that are special, right? There's moments like when a child is like, before like 6, 7 years old. I mean, that time, you just can't. I mean, there's no comparison. It's like a very unique time in a child's life, right? And you want to be there, right? Kids at that age, it's so interesting. I mean, when they're 20, it's great and everything, and you respect them and, they're adults and everything, but something about the development of life that's pretty fucking cool, okay? It's pretty cool, it's pretty cool, and you can appreciate that. Get in there, and don't fall into the two camps. The one is where you ignore everything because it's so bad, okay? And the other one is that you get into it, and then life is dark because you're just reading dark stuff every single day. It's like there's part of you, okay, that has to say, like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to enjoy the good things. And I mean, yeah, you're sad when they're gone, but like, I'm going to go out there and enjoy these things. And that is what I personally think that is the best respect you can give. Because someone could say, hey, you're out having fun while things are burning, right? Things are going here. Things are doing this. And my whole life, people told me, don't go to China because of this and that. Don't do this. Don't go to Russia because of this. And I went, and I am so glad I went. I am so glad I didn't listen to people who don't travel to tell me not to travel because of some moral reason. Because when you travel, you have opportunities to help. You have opportunities to understand. And I think, in some ways, that's kind of our responsibility as humans, is to see the world, to experience the world, to understand the world, to appreciate the world. I mean, if we leave life with like a rich tapestry of experiences, I mean, that's it. That's what life, I mean, if there is any kind of force in there, the life force would be like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? That's it. It's not always going to be there. Like eventually the sun will run out of fuel. It's a nuclear fusion fire, and eventually it'll run out of fuel, just like every campfire. And then what will happen? The heat will go down. The thing will start to bulb up into like big yellow and red flames instead of like smoking hot, well-fed fire. It's going to turn into this bloop, bloop, like you have a big yellow fire. It kind of pops up when it's not that hot, right? And then when it gets really hot, it turns blue and white, right? The sun is going to do that. It's going to expand. It'll melt the earth. It'll suck it in, and then everything will blow up. And everything will be gone, like every single thing. Every memory, every beautiful thing someone made, you know what I mean? Every car, every story about somebody who helped somebody else. I mean, everything will be gone, and then life just will, or the world or universe, reality will just carry on. And somewhere else, things will be building, things will be exciting and happening, right? So enjoy life. Enjoy life. And one of the only ways you can really do it is to be around people who are doing the same thing. Because what I'm talking about is a very sophisticated strategy, actually. I don't think, even listening to this video, you're not going to really know what I'm talking about. But when we're together and we're doing it, you'll see it. And you'll start to just instinctively know, I need to go down. We need to go. Like, let's go there. Let's do that. I was just talking this morning about possibly doing at some time in the near future, maybe not this year, but doing a cherry blossom. Because I read an article about Japan, and like there was this, it was by some idiot, but it's some foreigner in Japan, and he's saying like, he's basically like dissing foreigners who were tourists in Japan and just saying that they were just a bunch of knuckleheads and, TikTokers, and we're just a bunch of idiots, and we don't really, we're dreaming of the past in the bubble, and, he lives in reality there in Tokyo, It was funny because I could tell from the way he wrote and everything that he wasn't that old. He hadn't lived through the bubble, so he didn't even know what he was talking about. I was there during the bubble, so I would have written very differently about it, naturally. Because I know, I have experience, right? I'm not reading some history fucking book. So it was such a, what do you call it? Farce to start with. But he was, what got me thinking is that people were starting to get pissed off about people visiting Japan. I thought, you know what? Japan could start to crack down on people visiting. Speaking of crossing the river and feeling stones, our Japan summits, every one has been fucking awesome. Like, really. Like, even the one we did, an experimental one to Kyoto in the leaf season. I mean, that was fucking memorable, bro. That was very memorable, man. I'm so glad we did that one. And you know what? My philosophy, 100% in that one. And this philosophy, I hope you adopt this one, is seeing opportunities and moving, right? So what I saw was China was not letting tourists go to Japan yet. They were holding their passports. They weren't issuing new passports post-COVID, right? And so before COVID, there was tons of Chinese tour buses. Everybody was saying that Kyoto was ruined. It was like people were throwing trash in the temples, and it was like really, really turning nasty, right? And I remember Kyoto when there was no tour buses. I mean, it was just like students coming, all the students, they come. There maybe were like tour buses of students, Japanese students. So you had cutie pies everywhere, college, high school, they're all there, their uniforms, cruising around. And it was so awesome. It was so freaking awesome. And they all went for the cherry blossom season in the temples, right? To see the history of Japan. And so I saw that, I could see that we had to do something. We had to go to Kyoto during the leaf season, during the time when the tour buses hadn't started coming yet. And I didn't even really understand the wave of Indians that was coming. Because now you have like insane amount of Indian tour buses too. So you got you got a billion Chinese in tour buses coming. You got 1.5 billion Indians wanting to go. I mean, it really changes the place. So I'm like, okay, I'm not against that. It's good. I think it's good. Indians and Chinese, everybody's going to see. I think it's great. But at the same time, I wanted to show you guys Zen. I wanted to show you Zen. Zen is the Japanese philosophy of nothingness. And I knew if you want to see Zen, Kyoto is the best place. Kyoto is the epitome of Zen. And yet, with too many visitors, it wasn't. And so I saw this opportunity, and I was hoping I was right. And I told people I might not be right. Turns out, luckily I was. There was no tour buses. Kyoto was fucking quiet. We even got the temple with the where the samurais all committed seppuku on the floor, and then the blood went over the floor, and they put the floor on the roof up in Ohara and above Kyoto. We even got that to ourselves. We sat in there, all our pictures. It's just us. It's the fucking Ronin crew together in that temple. I forget the name of the temple, but we were alone in the most valued temple. It's considered Kyoto. It's not really Kyoto. It is Kyoto, but like area, but it's not Kyoto City. It's the old Kyoto in the mountains. And so we got up there by public bus for nothing, okay? And like literally nothing, right? We got up there, and then we got the temple to ourselves. We sat in there. I think we paid 2,000 yen to get in, or 1,500 yen or something. And they give you it's like a tea ceremony. They give you the best matcha tea and a beautiful, unique Japanese teacup. And then they give you this thing, and then you can sit there, and all the walls are all open. And the thing is, so the place is so old. Okay, the temple is so fucking old that the tree that's outside the temple is new. The tree is 800 years old, right? But they consider the tree the new tree. It's like, because they planted it long after the temple was built, right? So the tree is new, but it's 800 years old. So we're sitting there with all the walls open, like they have it open, and we're literally sitting like samurai masters in total silence. Me, who was there? Alex, I can't even remember the whole crew. Jeremiah was there. Like who else was there? Fox, Reese was there.
Bank there. Was Bank still there?
I think so. Yeah, Bank was there. And it was like a small summit, but we were sitting there. I mean, you guys have no idea what that means. Like, it was like when you nail something. It's like those disaster movies where they're trying to get the bomb to blow up the bad guy, and there's like one little slot they got to get the bullet in, and then they finally like they miss it like 10 million zillion times, and then finally some ragtag group comes along with a slingshot, and just hits that thing, and then boom. I mean, for us to be there, I'm sure I'm the only one who really understood how miraculous that moment was. But that's why I said, let's just stay. And instead of going to like 10 temples, we fucking just stayed there for hours. And we took pictures and we just meditated, wait till the sun goes down, and then we left. And it was like perfect. I mean, what else do you call it? It was a beautiful evening. And we got it in a way that will never exist in our lifetime. There's never going to be a time when that temple is going to be open in leaf season. In the peak of leaf season. It is not going to happen. Kyoto is only getting more popular every single year. And it was just this unique thing where they were holding back the hordes. The Chinese government was doing it. They were not issuing passports. They for some reason, they just didn't want Chinese to. I think it was because they did that big lockdown thing and they were really embarrassed that it didn't work. And anyway, they were just being very bureaucratic. And like literally we went to Kyoto and it was like, I don't know how long after that, but it was like just, it seemed like days, but maybe 2 months. They just, all of a sudden, Chinese tourists were everywhere in Kyoto. But they weren't there at the time. They weren't there at the leaf season. The leaf season, that's the whole fucking thing. The leaf season is the moment in Kyoto. That is Kyoto, is the leaf season. And we fucking nailed it. Now, it was a small summit, but hey, man, that was, I'm just so glad we did that. And again, we just strike when the iron's hot. So I do my best to strike when the iron's hot. And also, too, this channel attracts intelligent guys. There's a ton of smart guys on this channel. Like, I'm talking like full on. I mean, some people like very, very high IQ guys, engineers, security, there's top guys like all over the place. And they're getting this philosophy. So every time you go to a summit, there's always like a couple of really smart guys there, right? And then they're just like, you know what? What about this? And everybody's like, great idea. And then we go do one more cool thing, right? We kind of hear a rumor about something that we can go to and at a certain time, in a certain place, in a certain way, and just have a great time, right? Because all the details matter, right? Like you know what I mean? Like if you're going to some beautiful place at night and you're waiting for something, you want to have a warm jacket, right? You got to have a warm jacket. Like everything's got to line up. And that requires intelligence because when you're doing stuff on the fly, it's like someone's got to be thinking all the time, like, wait, no, like I went to the temple in Pattaya the other day, but they had to see the sunset and it was closed for some holiday at 6 instead of 7, and I missed it. I was like, oh, God, usually it closes at 7, right? And it closed at 6 that night, and I was just like, that's so unlike me. I just got all the way up there. Couldn't get into the temple, right? Still nice. We saw the sunset and everything. But it's like we do our best to really nail things. And I want to bring you along because when you feel what I'm talking about, it is a very real philosophy. And it will give you the tools where you will start to understand what I'm talking about and start to nail things in your life in other places and come up with good ideas because you'll be like, it's not about hurt feelings at summits. If somebody has a good idea, we do it. And if somebody's not a good idea, we don't. And I'll tell you a classic story was that Skull Rock. Skull Rock, Jason had the idea. And so it was such a brilliant idea. It was so perfect that a lot of us thought he knew like the kind of understood the philosophy, right? But then every other idea he had was bad. So we didn't do any more of his ideas, right? We gave him one more chance with dinner, and it was such a flop that we realized that it was just luck that he had one good idea, right? And that's the way we are. We're looking for the good ideas. And if I don't have the good ideas, somebody else does, right? It's not about, here's the thing, guys. So many people today, they want to be the one with the good idea. They want to get the glory. At summits, it's not about that. It's about giving the best you can. And if somebody else is better, you do that. And then your life is better. You're relieved from your bad idea. And you experienced the coolest thing. You know what I mean? And so you're relieved of that limited idea that didn't take something into consideration, right? And so then your life is better. And you'll realize that life is not about being right, but it's about just having a fucking great life, right? And a lot of that is in letting go. Letting go. I let go. I always like try to find out what's the best idea. Like I got a few ideas. Sometimes they're right, but I put them out there. I'm like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And sometimes the guys are like, no. We did that before. Let's do this other thing. And then I'm like, you're right. Too many times. Can't do that again. You know, we nailed it the other day. Let's go just try something fucking brand new. Let's just go hike up a fucking hill. You know, one time I was with Sean and we were up at Vandenberg Air Force Base area. I can't remember the name of the city, but we were like, it was like sunset. And I remember very clearly. And we were just driving. And Sean was kind of pissed off because he kind of knew the area. And I was saying, let's go hike and see the sunsets. But Sean kind of knew, which I didn't know, all the land is private in that area. There's one killer hike. So I had been on that. I mean, insane hike. So I thought there was more, but there was like literally only one. And so the other ones, it's all private land with barbed wire. You can't, and so I realized suddenly that Sean was right, but I was right. Because it was a killer day, killer sunset. I said, Sean, park the car here. He's like, we can't go anywhere. We'll get arrested trespassing, or whatever. And I'm like, park the car here. It was in an area where no one could kind of see where the car was. Because I knew that how you get busted is often because of your car. Like if you leave your car visible, then they know somebody did something and they're not there. So people get very worried, especially the landowner or the cops. They think you're breaking in or doing something. So we parked the car quietly, and then we climbed the fence, and then we cruised. We started cruising in this private property. Huge, like thousands, I don't even know, acres, whatever, 100,000, I don't even know, million, I don't know. Huge, right? And so I said, hey, we got to go down in the valley because someone's going to spot us, right? Because we weren't there to do anything wrong. All we wanted to do was hike. That's it. I just wanted to hike before the sun went down. So I said, let's go down. So it turned out to be very exciting. Sean quickly understood it was a good idea. So he's like, yeah. So we're down there, and we go down in the valley. We're listening for voices and everything. And then we're in this like wash, this dry wash. And and there's a pile of skulls and with the horns on them and everything from cows. And there was the other ones where it was a hip of an animal, but it looked like a skull. There's another one, big bone. So I put it on my head and it looked like a fucking warrior. It looked awesome, right? So I took a picture, then Sean took a picture, and we're just like laughing. We're trying to be quiet. We're just laughing our asses off. So then we cruise and there's like cows in there. So we're passing the cows, right? We're cruising up. And then I said, let's get off this. Because I knew the wash was safe now, but I wanted to see the sunset. So I said, we got to get to the top somehow, right? So I look, and there was like a way, there was like there was a valley, and there was a way up to the top, because we were down in the valley, right? And I said, let's get up there. So we started going up there, and we were quiet going up, and then all of a sudden, fucking huge fucking coyotes. I mean, like big fucking coyotes. And I realized they were like behind us, in front of us, and we were in an area where nobody walks. So these coyotes own this place. And these are big motherfucking coyotes, biggest coyotes I've ever seen. And they were like looking at us. They were definitely looking, they were staring right at us. And we got up there and I'm like, fuck, what we should do? What should we do? Like we could easily get attacked here. But we're going to fight our way out. You know what I mean? We're going to survive somehow. We might get bit, whatever.
Get a rabies shot.
Yeah, get a rabies shot.
Pick up a rock.
I don't think they would have rabies. I don't even think, in that case, I don't even think I'd get a rabies shot because we were in their nest, right? So, I mean, like, they're not out looking for us, right? A rabies you worry about is when a crazy animal comes and bites you, right? This is like we're in their nest. Like we're not supposed to be, So I just said, Sean, let's just slowly stare him down and let's move. So we stared him down and we just moved backwards. We didn't turn because we knew you turn and they know you're scared, right? So we stared him down and we slowly went down, and then we came back and we went to the car. And it was like such a fucking fun night. It was the best idea because I was like, fuck, we got to do something, man. We got to fucking do something tonight. We can't just sit around like fucking losers. We got to do something, And it turned out to be super fun. So sometimes the best idea is not that easy. The reason why is because we had a time, the sun was going down. If we had a little more time, we could have got to some killer hiking areas. There's more than one. There's some killer hiking areas, that area. But we had no time. Like we had to fly at like 80 miles an hour to get there to even do what we did, right? So, which was right near the freeway, right? Wasn't far from the freeway because we were on the freeway. So that's like some of the. So it's not always history. It's like sometimes you're just calculating everything. And I was hoping we wouldn't get caught, obviously, because the guy might misunderstand or think we're trying to cattle rustle or something. But like life is short, guys. I mean, sometimes you take a risk, right? It's like, I'm not recommending to do that, but that night we made the perfect fucking decision, right? The best idea won that night. And I don't really know the U.S. that well because I lived over here so long. Like in Asia, you can always, if you're not doing anything bad, in Asia, the cops, in my experience, and I've had a lot of experience with cops here, they're very reasonable. If you just show them what you're doing, they can see obviously what you're doing, and you're not doing anything wrong. I mean, even though the law is this or that, they're like old school cops. They use their brains. I mean, they're like, these guys aren't doing anything wrong. They're just looking at the sunset. Like, yeah, you're not supposed to be here, but like, don't come back, but like, we're not going to do anything. I mean, it is a waste of resources. The reason why they make the laws is not for guys like that are doing nothing wrong. They're making it for people that are doing something wrong. So the cops, if they see you're not doing anything wrong, obviously, you're looking at the sunset. They're like, okay, don't do it again, right? But like, this is a joke. Like you guys are, if anything, you guys are smart. You guys are up here. It's beautiful. We understand you want to come up here, but somebody else might come up here and do something else. So because of that, we do have to get rid of you. So they're just like, okay, go over there. And then that's it. So I always have that attitude in my life is that I make it when I'm doing something that's like a little bit, I kind of like make it very obvious what I'm doing. And when anybody comes, I just explain what I'm doing. And it's so obvious what I'm doing. I don't have any tools. I don't have any, I'm just, it's so obvious. I'm just looking at the sunset. And they might think I'm stupid or something for, but I like sunsets. I mean, I feel like it's worth it sometimes. That day was worth it, and maybe we would have gotten attacked by coyotes. It would still be worth it. Unless, obviously, if they severed a serious vein or something, then I would say it was not worth it, right? So it's always that kind of gamble. Is it worth it, right? But that night, Sean was in the mood, and he got me in the mood because I saw that he immediately saw, this is a fucking great idea. Like, this is exciting, right? And so we had a fucking great time. So, and that was so that's the kind of stuff we do at Summit. So you might think, oh, there's no Summit in this area. But hey, we're always thinking, like, what is the coolest shit that we can do right now? Like, right fucking now. And every time is different because it depends on what's going on, right? So I that's what I recommend. So you say, well, what about the fires? What about this? What I did, which didn't even know, before the fires, I went to the coolest place that is now a burned out hellhole, right? And I climbed all the fucking, I did every Hollywood, Southern California climb that I could do. There's so many, you can't do them all. And whenever I go to Orange County, same thing. I climb Top of the World. I go to like in Laguna. I climb all the fucking ones. There's one up to There's a really good climb in Southern California that I did before. It is fucking brutal. Up to, there's like I don't know if it's like a radio towers or something. I forget the name of my brother. Let's put it this way. This is a hilarious one. So my brother-in-law one night, he's very impulsive. He's like, my brother-in-law's there, and I'm there. And he's like, let's go climb up to whatever that place is. And I was like, dude, it's like 3:00. Like, that's a pretty serious climb. Like, it was like pretty late, right? And he's like, oh, we can make it, right? So me and my brother look at each other like, I don't think we're gonna make it, but hey, it'll be fun trying, right? So we cruised out there and we just fucking ran up the mountain, right? And we got to the top and then the sun went down. So it's like pitch black, right? It's absolutely pitch black. And we're like 7 miles from the car, 10 miles, like who knows, right? We're way the fuck up there, right? And it's pitch black. Like there's literally, and the trail sucks because no one uses it. So it's like all these rocks you can sprain your ankle on because they just move, right? Because it's not well kept, right? Back then, this is way, way back in the 90s. But probably early 90s, actually. So anyway, we were walking and we're like, each step takes forever because you're like trying not to, so we're trying to get our foot in and then moving forward like 1 foot. Like, it's totally ridiculous, right? We're like trapped up there, right? So then all of a sudden I said to the guys, like my brother and the other guy, I said, do you guys know, like, a mountain lion just ate somebody up here, right? There's mountain lions up there. And there's also coyotes like crazy up there. And I said, you guys, there's 2 problems. We can't walk. It's going to take forever. We can't walk. And we can't stay here. We got to get on our all fours and crawl because that's the only way we're not going to break our ankles and get injured and be stuck here, right? So I said, the only way is we get on all fours and we got to yell. Because if we get on all fours, the animals will think that we're weak and they'll attack us. So I said, what we got to do is throw rocks everywhere and just grunt and scream and like make tons of noise and just and follow the path because the path, you couldn't see the path. It was pitch black. It was no moon. It was fucking pitch black. There was nothing. Each foot you had to like feel which direction the trail went. Like imagine that. And we had to go like miles, right? And we're just like, so we got on, and so everybody was like, you know, my brother-in-law's smart, Eric, my brother's smart. So we everybody goes, yeah, fuck, he's right. Like we're fucking gonna, we're not gonna get, we gotta, this is a serious situation all of a sudden. And it does get cold up there too. You know, we're wearing shorts and t-shirts. So, you know, it's not cold enough to kill you in one night probably, but it's cold, you know. It's fucking pretty miserable, right? No water, you know. So we didn't have enough water, of course, for the night. So we got on all fours and I started just like, I'm like doing these like mountain men sounds, whatever. And then everybody started copying because they realized we better do this because that fucking mountain lion is scary as fuck. They come behind you, right? They attack you from behind, right? So we're on all fours, like we're super weak, right? So we were just screaming and then we started laughing because it was so hilariously stupid situation that we're just laughing our asses off. But we did it all the way down. We fucking screaming on all fours. Our knees are all fucking fucked up. And we found the trail down. We got down to the car. And it was one of these fucking hilarious family stories, right? So, you know, it's like, I to this day, I think if we would have stopped, I don't know, man. Those mountain lions are everywhere up there. I don't know, man. Like, they're pretty sketchy, mountain lions. Big cats, they're fucking scary as fuck. You can't do anything with them. They're silent, right? They know what's up. And they're hungry. Because there's not much food up there. Because it's like so dry in Southern California that there's not like a lot of game like there would be like rabbits on the East Coast, right? There's rattlesnakes and there are some rabbits and there's some coyotes, but coyotes, I don't think they eat coyotes. I don't think so because coyotes travel in packs, right? So, and there's so many fucking coyotes in Southern California. There's so many fucking coyotes that at night near my parents' house, if you walk at night down through the tomato fields, you will hear once in a while them just like going crazy, just and what that means is they got like a dog or something. They're eating something. It's a feeding frenzy, and you can hear them, and it's very primal, and it's like loud. It's loud, and it happens all the time. Like it happens like once a week. You'll hear if you're anywhere down there in that area at night, which really nobody really goes because it's trails and there's coyotes everywhere. But I do. I always go through there, even by myself all the time, because ever since I was a kid, I would go down there. And when I was a kid, nothing was there, right? It was just crazy shit like crazy out there, basically. I grew up going out there, so I figured, fuck it. If I die out there, whatever the fuck. And no one's going to die, you know. I'm not going to die, you know. I say that, but, you know, right? It happens. So, but anyway, now it's kind of like half developed and half. Now it's totally different than it used to be. Now it's like this developed area with lots of wilderness. But in that wilderness is where that kill zone is for coyotes, even now, right? Because California is so good at saving the wildlife that they're fucking right next to your house, right? Like, you know, they eat your dogs. All my friends lost dogs and cats. They get taken by the coyotes. And there was a story. There was a baby that was taken when I was in probably high school. And there was a caregiver, was a Mexican girl, couldn't speak English. And the baby disappeared. And she went to prison because they said she kidnapped the baby or sold the baby. And she claimed that she had been in the bathroom or something, and she came out and a coyote had it and just took off outside with the baby. And she claimed that because she had left the back door open. And you know, it's something that you would do. Like people did leave doors open back then. But it was like the worst luck. The baby was in the crib. And, you know, now pretty much everybody understands that the coyote ate the baby, you know, and it wasn't the girl. But yeah, I mean, shit does happen, you know. And it's crazy, that poor girl, right? But she didn't do anything. I'm sure a coyote. Because coyotes, they get all the small animals. All my friends, like you can't let your cat out. That's why nobody has cats outside anymore. But there's one fucking cat. My neighbor has this huge orange cat. And that fucking cat somehow survives outside. I don't know how. But everybody respects that cat. Because he cruises around every night and never gets eaten. Like you see coyotes right near my parents' house. Like right, just walking down the street. Yeah, there's a mountain lion once in a while. Cats. Or coyotes, you know. And I really want to do another Southern California Summit, man. I want to show you guys this area. Like I say, like, fuck, I mean, they just burned down LA, so that's sadness. But there are other areas that we can hike in, right? So I'd love to show this shit before it disappears. I've already seen it, so, you know, I want to go to new places. But because here's the thing, California is like this, it's as big as Japan, right? And like land mass-wise. I think it's bigger than Japan, actually. And so, like, there's these different cultures that exist in there. Because I grew up there, I appreciate these different, like, you got the Mexican, like, settler kind of people who came, like, a long time ago, right? I don't think they were originally there. I think they came up just like everybody else came to California. In search of jobs and stuff, but it was like a long time ago. And they own a lot of land. They have a lot of like haciendas, like these cool Mexican houses that are so cool. They're like really unique. You can see them if we go into the brush. They're most at risk of brush fires, but Mexican hacienda houses are some of the coolest in the world. Like my favorite houses would be some Japanese, Singaporean traditional houses, and haciendas. Those are like the coolest houses, man. They're so cool. And I'd love to show you guys how basically as a kid, you know, almost dying of thirst out there and everything, how exploring in the Southern California wilderness taught me something that made me a lot of money later in real estate. Like how I put together what is a good plot of land. Because they always say like, you know, it's location, location, location. Like I actually understand, and I never tell anybody, I'm not going to say it on a video, but the real core of what makes valuable land that I think the settlers understood and the Indians understood and the native Mexicans understood. But there's something, once you understand this one thing, it will really help you to avoid bullshit when you buy a house, because you're going to know, like, that's a bullshit house. Like 99% houses are built on bullshit land to me. Just total idiots buying them. But there are certain houses based on natural laws, basically, that are just so fucking awesome. No matter what happens, they're always kind of protected. They're like, it's amazing. But anyway, I would love to show people. So I do want to do not an LA summit, maybe like Orange County. What I would really like, here's just for the future, just for anybody who's like thinks this idea is worthwhile, is help us get a house in Orange County. So preferably somewhere, anywhere from, let's say, Laguna Beach, South Laguna, Dana Point, Capistrano, San Clemente, those cities. So if we have a house somewhere in those areas, I can show you guys so many cool things. And you can see from the wildfires that these places are not going to last. I'm going to show you. So really worthwhile. And I do want to do a summit in early March in Southern California, if possible. Like I said, it could be Santa Cruz and it could be Las Vegas. But I've been kind of like pretty excited about doing a Southern California summit, just because that's where I grew up and I know so much. And my thinking has never changed. Like, me and my friends, we did all this shit back in high school, right? So like, I really do know a lot of weird fucking funky fucking Ronin things in that area. And I'd love to take people around, but we got to find a way, to get a house down there. So if somebody wants to sport for somebody who's doing well wants to sport for a house. The reason why I don't rent houses is because I want to keep the price down for the guys, the students, the guys who don't have a lot of money, so that anybody can come to a Ronin Summit, and it's cheaper being there than it is even going there, because you don't have to pay for the house, right? You got a free place to stay in Southern California. That right there is amazing. That costs you hundreds of dollars a night, right? Instead, that part is free. So we'll be cooking, won't be in restaurants. So we need a house. Either somebody who lives down there, right, has a house, has a family house, or wants to, doing well in life, and you say, you know what? I fucking totally want to do this. I will get the house. And then we'll announce it and we'll do it. If not Southern California, somewhere else. But it's always with the same spirit. The best idea wins. And so far, some people have said they want to go to Vegas. Some people have said they want to go to Santa Cruz. Some people said they wanted to go to Mexico. But it hasn't been a driving force that enough guys want to go or a house opened up. So that's why I haven't announced it yet. And I'm waiting. Let's do it. We got to do it. We got to find a way to do it. It's going to be fucking great. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be not jet lagged because I'm going to come a little early. I'm going to Santa Cruz. So it's like perfect. It is absolutely perfect idea. And, now with all this stuff going on, I think people can see that the environment in Southern California is very fragile. And it seems like to me, this is my theory that nobody else's. I think it is possible, just on the fires. I've been watching very closely, and of course could be wrong. This is my theory, not my opinion. My theory so far, today, Wednesday, January, whatever the fuck it is that the first fire at Skull Rock was started accidentally by kids with a barbecue or with fireworks. And the fire was so big, the whole government thing and no water. And I don't even want to get into that in this one. But that fire, there's always been fire bugs, arsonists, people who start fires, people who feel powerful for burning things down. There's always been people like that. And they often work in the fire department. It's often the people who are most excited about fires get jobs as firemen. So that's the weird thing about it. If you talk about like the criminal mind and like, it's same thing with guys that want to do weird things. They get jobs at schools, right? So it's like, it's difficult because the criminals try to go where they can get most of whatever they want, right? So it's like you don't want to distrust a good fireman because a good fireman is fucking awesome, right? But at the same time, you got to know the reality of the criminal mind, and the bad fireman wants to be in the middle of a bunch of good firemen. So I don't know what's happening on that, but what I think, and here's my theory, theory, is that the first fire was natural, and it was so exciting for the criminal people that people started to set fires. I think that the anger from, and this is just, I believe this part I believe, is that the schools have been teaching for years that white men are evil. They've been brainwashing kids that people with a certain skin color and gender are absolutely evil and have done evil things to everybody. They don't see, and they have no balance, okay? Human beings have done evil things. I mean, read about Idi Amin, right? Read about Genghis Khan. I mean, it's so fucked up. It is so racist and terrible what they're teaching the kids because they're teaching people to absolutely abhor and hate. And you saw this. Who was the fire chief? One of the big fire people, she said, if a man is in trouble in the fire, then that's his fault.
He shouldn't get there.
He shouldn't get there. And let me break that one down. That's an important one. So most people, what's the thinking on her with most people? Most people think, well, she's LGBT, so she's kind of protected. So it's dangerous to say anything, right? Some people are worried about that. Other people, when they hear about that, they think that she should lose her job, right? She should be fired because of that. And other people think, whatever. There's a number of things I've heard, but I'm going to tell you what I think about that. Is that, and this is straight up, guys, society has been brainwashed to hate men and especially to hate white men. And the brainwashing has been so thorough that a professional, a highly paid professional, I think her salary is, I forget if it's a 279 or if it's 441 or if it's 750. There's three lesbian women that have the three top salaries. And they have double the salary of the guy before them. Same job. Yeah. The 750 was half that, and it was a man before her. So I think that kids and society has been brainwashed. And you guys know what I think about brainwashing. Brainwashing never goes away. It's not logical. It will be with you till the day you die. The human mind is very fragile. And once you fuck with the human mind, it has huge consequences on the person being brainwashed. But the thought, it's like, people say, well, my mind says this, but my heart says this. You know that disconnection? So they go with their heart, right? Their heart is sometimes their heart, but sometimes it's that lurking brainwashing, basically. I could go in a whole video about this, but this is just what I truly believe, and I've lived in communist countries under propaganda, and I've watched how propaganda affects people over time, and it's very, very complicated. Because on the outside, they could be totally logical and say, yes, I know that's not true. I was told that's true, but I know it's not true. And it's the same with kids raised in cults. They can never really understand that Shoko Asahara is not God. They were brainwashed when they were so young. So I believe that that woman has been so brainwashed that she wants to see. You can just watch the video again. she would enjoy seeing a man burning to death who deserved it in her mind. There's no question about this. Watch the video. I talk about the dark side of human nature in my first two videos. Like male envy. I talked about it in the first two videos I ever made. And the darkness, and how I respect that. See, because I know it's there. It's just waiting for a chance to get out. You never want to be unprotected and unaware of the dark side of human nature. This woman would very much enjoy seeing or hearing about a man burning to death. Okay, now what does that have to do with us? What does it have to do with us? You could think society would say, how do you know that? Some smarter people in society might say, well, maybe she's full of hate, but, people like that, they should be punished, and she's an outlier, she's an extremist. I don't think so. And the reason why is because of the reaction of society. So she said what she said, and which was very, very clear, actually. I mean, it's so outrageous you can't even put it into words. Her job is to save people, but she wants to leave men burning to death in fires, right? Okay, and she's getting paid, and she hasn't been fired, and nobody's protesting, and nobody's doing anything. And she makes more money than probably most 99% of people on this channel. Okay, so she wants to see people burned to death because they're so bad. And society agrees with her. At the end of the day, Western society agrees. The hatred has become so real and so strong that she didn't even get a punishment. She's just walking around. I mean, if anybody said that about anybody else, they would lose their job. I mean, it would be so brutal. Maybe they would even, like Johnny Somali people would kick the shit out of them, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's so serious, right? So the lesson, and this is a very, very serious lesson to you guys, is that society truly does hate you and wants to see you die. And I wouldn't be surprised if the fires, I think, this is my theory, is that the cartels are now on the watch list to be attacked when Donald Trump takes office on January 20th. I think this is their way of fighting, just like Pablo Escobar, is that they said, well, hey, we can cause more damage than you think. So they saw the fire at Palisades, which was natural, and they said, hey, perfect. They're giving guys money, sending them up to do this. They're showing, just like they showed the Mexican government, don't fuck with us, because we will cause way more damage than you think. Just let us do our business. I think this is very likely a message from the cartels. It's like, this is what you have in store. We're not fighting fair, and we got tons of money. I think the cartels are behind it. And I think that there are also firebugs. See, that's the problem. It's complex. The cartels see that they're going to be on the target list in a few days. So naturally, they're looking for ways to get something done before, if they could. Very possibly. Never heard anybody say that, but that's what I think. I followed the cartels since the beginning. I read a lot about them. This is the type of thing. This is the way. Go back and watch the Pablo Escobar, the Narcos, about his life. This is straight out of Pablo Escobar's fucking playbook here. Straight out. This is not some conspiracy. This is the way he got the Colombian government to kowtow to him. Right? Everybody who stood up, he took out. Right? And in Mexico, same thing. They know how to beat a government. The cartels know how to beat a government. And now that they're on the radar, Delta Force and stuff, and the Americans are so sure they're going to win. I don't know. I think it's worth it. I think it's a worthwhile fight. You don't want criminal organizations taking over society. But at the same time, I don't know if we'll win. I really don't know. This is another one to watch. I know it sounds crazy that they could win, but I personally think the cartels could win. It's possible because they don't play by the rules, right? And I also think that the reason why nobody's that angry, a lot of people are not angry about the fires, is because it was rich white men losing their houses. And hey, they deserved it, right? That's what society tells you. It's like, good for them, right? I also think, and again, the complexity of life, I think that Gavin Newsom and a lot of globalists have been planning to remake U.S. society into more of a surveillance state, more IT, if you read about LA 2.0, it's a total plan to get rid of all residential houses and make apartment buildings that you basically rent, you don't own. Now, I'm not saying like owning is the greatest thing, but I'm just saying that they do have this plan. Now, I am not at all saying that any of the government's behind this, okay? I'm not saying that. It's just one of these lucky coincidences for them, is that they suddenly got free land in the middle of LA. So they're going to take advantage of it. So I think what should happen with them is, I don't think that they're anyway letting this happen. I don't think like people said the reservoir was empty because they wanted to make LA 2.0. No. The LA reservoir was empty because of all the DEI retards running LA. You basically have people that are not qualified for anything. I mean, the mayor, Karen Bass, she was a Congress member going to Africa all the time because she had a deal, was like a international role. And then she got offered the mayor position. And she said, well, one of the stipulations in the original hearings is that you go overseas all the time. Like, this city is busy. We can't have people leaving. Like, if you're going to be the mayor, you can't go on vacation. You know, I had a friend in the Narcotics Bureau of Beijing, very high up, and we were hanging out during the Beijing Olympics. She was taking me around. I said, you should come visit me sometime. And she's like, she goes, I can't leave China. I said, why? She said, while I'm like high up in the police, there's no way I can take a vacation. I'm not allowed to leave because I have information. I could be kidnapped, right? A spy agency could grab me. And also, too, something could kick off and I wouldn't be here. So at my level, I can never take a vacation. I'm not allowed to. None of us are. She said, we just dream of going on vacation. So when we retire, we can go on vacation. So that's the way other governments are smart. They're like, with important people, they just can't move. And LA, they said in the hearings, you cannot travel. And Karen Bass said, I will never go overseas to take the job. She promised she'll never take a foreign trip. She's going to stay in LA. It's a busy job, lots of shit going on. And she was going to never leave until she leaves the job. Well, now she's been overseas like a zillion times, right? And she uses the funds of the state. So again, I don't think it's smart to read a conspiracy into that. You have a DEI retard, right, who doesn't know her ass from the hole in the ground. She has this huge job with huge salary. She literally does not care. She's one of these government officials. You know that old saying, like, good enough for government work, right? Good enough for government work, right? And that's what she is. She's good enough for government work. She's that kind of person. And so she doesn't give a shit. I mean, not really. She gets paid well. She's got a house. This is not a conspiracy. A lot of people don't care about stuff. A lot of people don't really care about their company, right? They don't really care about the city, right? And she's one of those. She just doesn't really give a shit. She's happy. She's got her house. She's got her money. Gavin Newsom just bought a $9 million house, just like 2 weeks ago. Bought a $9 million house on a small salary. Yeah. So what you have is you have people that are promising not to break the law, and then they're breaking the law. We're finding the evidence, Biden with all his shell companies to take money from wealthy Chinese. I mean, all this stuff is now there, but society doesn't have the balls to clamp down, right? I think they should clamp down on all these motherfuckers, regardless of party. Like just every fucking buddy who broke the law. They know they broke the law. Like there's a paper trail, right? No more talking. Done. I think that burning down LA, one of the greatest cities in the world, if that's not a wake-up call, then society is not going to change, right? Now, again, back to the beginning of the video. Just because I understand this stuff, does it ruin my life? No. Because there's tons of other cities. I was down in Melbourne, Australia. Beautiful city. It's kind of like LA, but really, really nice. I haven't been to Sydney because the fires were going on. Guess why the fires happened in Australia? Why did the fires happen? Why were they so bad? Why were the fires all the way across the outback? Take a wild guess. Just a wild guess. What?
Just like leftover plants.
Plants and wood, yep.
Yeah, plants and wood.
So Australia
They're not managing that.
used to be the king of the shrimp on the Barbie, right? Steak on the Barbie. And you could just go out in your backyard, grab some wood, and use that for a campfire or for your barbecue or your, whatever. And save it for next season, burn it, whatever, You could just pick up wood. And so because they had people who like to barbecue. If you've ever been in Australia, it's really true. The guy I stayed with, he barbecued every fucking day. We had fucking steak every day in Melbourne. It was hilarious. And I got a very sad story about him, but I should say. I think, no, I'm not going to say because I'm not sure. He gave me a call and things were not good. And I think it's possible that he's no longer with us. He got cancer. But he was the most awesome guy, Jason. And if you're out there, Jason, if you're still alive, contact me. He called me and said, I think I'm fucked. And then, he went offline. And he was like fundamental in the Melbourne Summit. Fundamental in that really awesome time we had in Melbourne, man. It was so fucking awesome. You guys that were there, man. Right? Some of the stuff I can't even say publicly. It was so fucking awesome, that summit. It was like, never happened again. It was the people, it was the situation, right? But it was great, right? And Jason was a big part because he made it happen. He was the guy who made it happen. And he named his horse, he has race horses. And he named one of them Ronin Man. And there's an official race horse in Australia called Ronin Man. And that was Jason's. And he called me and he said, I named the horse after you, mate. And so I went down there to meet Ronin Man. And I put Ronin Man in the videos back then, if you look back in the videos. But I didn't make a big deal out of it. I was going to make a video about it. But I realized it was more about Jason and the horse than me. It was like, what a cool guy he was. He was such a fucking awesome guy. And he was so generous, too. He just threw me the keys. And he said, yeah, you can... I'm going to Thailand. I'll be gone for 2 weeks. He goes, here's your car. He gave me a brand new Mercedes. Yeah, and he says, you use this one. Got insurance. Everything's good. Just gas, And he gave me his house keys. And I was just cruised around and barbecued steaks and went downstairs. There was a German supermarket to go get steaks. And fucking then friends came. And then we did the summit. And it was like, I was there for like 3 weeks in his house watching sunsets over the water. Hiking down to the fucking, I forgot what was the name of the subdivision he was in? Fuck, you guys that were there, what was the name of that? Jason's house. It was really cool. Morielic. It was in Morielic, above that German supermarket, can't remember what it's called. But it's on the main drag, right? And it was right on the beginning of this cool peninsula that we always drove down, and it was just fucking so great. It was so great. But where was I going with that? Where was I? I can't remember what I was going with that. I was tying that into something. But
Thinking about the fires.
I started to think about Jason, and then it threw me off. I want to get absolute confirmation before I say anything for sure. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure. So, life is short, man. Life is short. It really is. So that's the reason why, the LA fires, I think It's very possible we got some criminal motivation. I think that there's a lot of hatred towards the people who live there because they did everything wrong. They're rich, right? Successful and white. That's right there. That's 3 strikes. You're out, right? No one cares. So better just to burn the house down and then rebuild it, with a bike, what is it called? Multicultural, apartment buildings is much better, right? So, and I'm not saying that this is, again, very clear here because it's really important. This is a very serious issue. I don't want to make many mistakes on this one. So I don't think people are doing it for that reason. But I think it's one of these things that it's kind of like when your ex-wife, you hear that your ex-wife, was skateboarding and like ran into a wall or something, or like, some criminal, you're watching a video, some criminal, takes a bag and then goes and runs and jumps and ends up landing in, some kind of barbed wire and the cops come and he can't get out. It's this kind of feeling. It's like that guy deserved it kind of thing. It's like, I think that's what the attitude is towards the people who live in the wealthy people who live in the hills. I think there's a lot of that. And it's because of the brainwashing. There's naturally going to be envy of all people. But I think the brainwashing has made it basically absolutely poisonous. And now you have people kind of like not really caring, right? Kind of like, oh, now we got all this free land. And that's what Gavin Newsom's like, hey, let's just develop it the way I was going to do it anyway, And it's like, it's kind of like, Jesus, dude, like that's like, fuck. I mean, if for no other reason, I mean, this needs to be open for fucking debate, right? Like, I don't know what he really has in plan for LA. I love LA. I've always loved LA. And I think I don't want some fucking knucklehead turning LA into his little fucking pet project, which you can see where his pet projects have gotten him, burning down the city, right? He hired the people that he thought were the best. And it turns out they were the worst, So I don't want that guy in charge of anything. That guy, I cannot even believe. This is why I give up on the West, is they can't even get rid of anybody. I mean, like it takes months. Like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are in charge right now. And no one can do anything about it. They're the ones calling the shots right now. All the false hope that the media is giving you that it's going to change, there's going to be a recall, doesn't matter. Who's in charge? Who's making right now is the fundamental decisions being made? Who is making it? The people that caused it. And it's that old saying, the mind that created the problem cannot solve it. Everybody knows that. But Western society has gotten so rigid, so fucking rigid, that we can't even protect ourselves. We got to wait until they ruin everything in the reconstruction, and then we vote them out, and the new guy gets voted in with all this stuff already in place, right? That's how retarded the West is. I personally, fuck, if I was the president, I would 100%, I mean, I don't know if I could. Western society is so retarded now. But like in China or Japan, they would just say, they'd say, fuck yeah, true. We're supposed to follow the laws on this one. But like, no, not this time, because it's like the criminals. It's like you got the cartels trying to clean up the cartels. Like you got the homeless trying to clean up the homeless. You got the shoplifters who are still shoplifting, trying to stop the shoplifters. Like, of course, there's no motivation there. Like, get them gone. I don't care why. All the people that caused this should be out of office and not receive one more dime. And some of them, like that empty reservoir since last February, I think there needs to be criminal charges on that one. Because 117 million gallons. And apparently they dumped, this was from California Insider, which is a very reliable channel. It's run by a congressman. California Insider, I had a podcast 2 months ago, I think it was, where they said 1.4 billion gallons of water, fresh potable water, was dumped into the ocean like 2 months ago. And they were protesting against it. This is not secret. Like, the reason why people like still believe in the Democrat, because they don't know. Like, for people from LA are waking up real fucking fast. They dumped all the water in the ocean. This is what happens when you hire retards. One of my friends, he asked me, this guy, he's from New Zealand. Anyway, he asked me the other day, he didn't know what DI was. So we were chatting or something, and I said something about DI. And he said, what is DEI? I said, well, that's when you have to hire retards because of the color of their skin. And he just started cracking up, And that's what it is. That's what it is. Is you can't judge people with the color of their skin by their skills. You can't hire quality people. You hire your friends. Give them double salaries. Even if they just fucking spend the money going to Africa all the time. Traveling, partying, emptying things, emptying the reservoirs. There is one more thing I want to say. The brainwashing, okay? It's not just about racism. It's also a hatred of humanity. And they have been brainwashing children to hate themselves, not even having kids, because they think humans are the worst thing. Okay? So they have brainwashed people for over a generation now. People like fish grew up in this environment where humans are bad. Their parents say, I wish I wouldn't have had children. Everybody's like deciding not to have children because humans are so evil. They've been brainwashed to hate themselves. And so guess what? So guess fucking what you get? You get that kind of happiness when you see the place burning down. Because what happens? Less humans, less human constructions, back to nature. It was not even about the environment. Because the LA fires have been the worst thing for the environment to ever happen to LA. I mean, there's donkeys in downtown LA now. Tons of donkeys and coyotes and mountain cat. Everybody's coming down because the animals realize that's the only place that's not burning down as much as the hills. So everybody's coming down. They don't know what to do. They're like, I saw a neighborhood. It looked like a fucking zoo. Like literally donkeys, like the video I saw, there was literally like 40 donkeys just walking down the street, eating the bushes of people's houses. Like, I didn't even know there was donkeys up there. There's fucking all these animals. I don't know what, they look like donkeys to me. They're like donkey-like creatures, whatever the fuck they are. I never even seen them. They're so good at hiding, right? They just came down from the hills, right? There's all these animals. Probably there's animals that people thought were extinct coming down. Like, who fucking knows, right? So basically, the environmentalists, oh yeah, this is one of the things I would like to say. I really would like to say this one. Okay. Environmentalists, the Sierra Club, all these motherfuckers took over back in the 70s. And nobody has ever really been able to stop them. Now, I love the environment. I was a Boy Scout for a very short period of time, but the philosophy stuck with me. The philosophy is leave the place better than when you came. Okay? So we always did that, as kids. We would clean up our campsite, even when our parents weren't there. We wouldn't set off fireworks and just leave there. No fucking way. We'd clean things up. We were serious about camping when I was a kid. And that was us kids. No parents. No fucking... We'd go camping by ourselves. As soon as I got my license or started stealing cars at 14, we started camping, right? And we just go out and camp somewhere, right? And we'd clean it up, bring the car back, put the keys... leave the keys in the car, right? Just a little joyride, no problem, It's like no harm, no foul, no injuries to the car. A little bit less gas, We didn't know how to put gas. We weren't quite sure about that. Stop at the gas station seemed kind of sketchy. But, and my motorcycle, we go camping on my motorcycle. I took that fucking CT70 up so many dirt roads, you can't believe it. And dirt trails. You can ride a CT70 like a fucking dirt bike if you want, if you know how to ride it. But the Sierra Club and the environmentalists have gotten so unreasonable. They're trying to stop Tesla in Germany, right? These are the guys who went crazy for electric cars. And now they're very powerful, evil groups now. That's my opinion. I really think they've become evil groups. They're not in society's interest. And they should all be held to account. Congressional investigations into them. Because if they're the ones behind all the rules, leave firewood, don't, oh God, I can talk about the insurance companies too. They got fucked over by these guys too. So the Sierra Club and all these guys, they made it impossible to pick up wood, impossible to clean up around your house. So the insurance companies, they said, well, look, if you're not going to clean up dry firewood surrounding your fucking house, we can't insure you. Right? We won't insure you. You got to clean up the firewood. But the Sierra Club said, no, there's like spiders in there or whatever. It's always some crazy little animal. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It's some ridiculous animal every time, okay? It's not like, it like, mosquitoes are killed every day in people's houses, right? No one cares, right? I mean, this is this kind of thing. But all of a sudden they care. They care because it gives them power. They don't care about other animals. You know, they could give a shit about going to Walmart and buying a bunch of fish and beef and everything. But man, they care about these animals that are in places they want to control, right? The other animals, whatever the fuck with those, you know. It doesn't matter. The house that they had to kill all the animals to build their house, they don't care about that animal. Fuck that. That doesn't matter, you know. But the animals that other people's that big deal, right? Especially after their house is built, right? You know, they don't care about noise when they're making their house, but when the neighbor makes a fucking house, shut the fuck up, right? You know, so they're power-hungry psychos. So they have stopped Australia picking up firewood. No more controlled burns in Australia. The whole place burned down, but Australia was lucky because it was the outback. And when I say lucky, it was absolutely horrible. The animals all died, you know. I mean, it was a fucking massacre of native animals. But at least they didn't lose cities, right? They didn't lose cities because it was in the outback. LA, we could have lost the wildfire and the trees would come back and the animals would come back. You know, not the same animals. You know, that's the thing. It's like, it is still terrible. I do love animals, but you got to put it on a scale, okay? It takes a lot longer to build a house than it does to build a fucking nest for a bird, right? It's a lot more resources, right? It's a lot more time, money, resources. And so it's more valuable, right? Campsite you can set up easy, but at the World Trade Centers is a lot bigger. It's a lot more valuable, right? You got to put value on things, right? So the environmentalists should be held to account. And I think, personally, that the non-environmentalists are better environmentalists than the environmentalists. Because I feel like most humans, and this is my feeling, and from my own experience, like the normal people, we do care about stuff. You know, we care about animals, we care about plants, we care about trees. You know, anybody who's educated, intelligent, it's like you're not like, oh, just cut down all the trees and concrete over everything. You know, this narrative is so crazy. We are balanced, intelligent men. We care about things that matter. Our brains can calculate what matters, right? You see a mosquito, he's about to get crushed. Your grandmother's about to get by a truck. Which one do you grab, right? Grandmother. Our minds naturally do this stuff. We're like naturally, this is not rocket science. We are capable of making good decisions. And we're educated. We're the most intelligent creatures that have ever existed in the universe. We're pretty good, you guys. We don't need these fucking mommy state environmentalists. We take care of the environment pretty fucking well these days. Not in the beginning of development, but in modern society. People are pretty fucking sophisticated. I think people really underestimate the average man, his concern for cats, dogs, animals, the environment. And I think they really overestimate these groups that are supposed carers for these things. And I think that they should be investigated because basically on trial for causing these fires. If you don't let people pick up the firewood, we saw it in Australia. Australia burned down. Now LA burned down. Okay, how long does it take people to realize that wood burns? Like, what do we need to tell people? That wood catches on fire. Dry wood. Wood You got to tell somebody over at the California government. Wood catches on fire and burns. And guess what? Fire's hot. Fire is hot. Fire's hot. And get this. A fire that grows bigger is hotter. Okay? A fire that grows larger is hotter. Okay? And on top of that, a fire can get so hot that it goes underground. Okay? So it basically can't be put out for like a long time. Right? It gets to a point where you can't do anything about it. So I'll end on this. Now they're saying it was climate change. The reason why these fires are so relentless. Let's go back to what we just talked about. A fire, wood burns, okay? Fire's hot. Bigger fire is hotter. And then a huge fire becomes an inferno that goes underground, burns everything down to the roots. And guess what happens then? When you have a fire underground, okay, it took months to stop the fires at the World Trade Center. Months. And that was only one building, 2 buildings, 3 buildings. We're talking about the whole fucking city. There are going to be fires bursting out in LA forever. LA is just an absolute tragedy. And the reason is because people didn't understand the basics. You know, the basics. And I guess I'll end on this. So, what do? How do you prepare? You already know the answer, right? The answer is the insanity is going around you, but you got to have a sense of humor about it. Realize what you can control and what you can't. And just realize, this is one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
The world's run by idiots. This will never stop until everything's destroyed. But meanwhile, you can enjoy a lot of stuff before it gets burned down. You can go over there and see some cool people, have some good food. You can go over there and see some old instrument that's still alive over here. And didgeridoo, and you can go meet cute girls. They're making new ones every day. You can go to beautiful beaches where just you can really enjoy life. Even though the world's run by idiots.
Pretty good living, I
Probably
think.
you're too stupid to even stop.
To me, it's like ridiculously
At the same
good
time,
living.
it's like, hey, we're
You're right
free.
near the river.
We're
Your
not-
rent is nothing.
So go and enjoy.
There's
life.
no way
Really,
your rent's
Life is
expensive.
there to be enjoyed. If life had a voice, if there was a voice from God, they would be cheering us on. They'd be like, yeah, there is nothing. It's too big. The insanity is too huge. But you know what?
There could be a little bit of flooding, but
Enjoy
the
what
Thais are used to that.
Just go and enjoy it. Really appreciate it.
Hey guys.
Learn as much as you can. Laugh as much as you can. Travel as much as you can. See as much as you can. Make friends. Improve yourself. And don't get stuck in the dark.
How you
Don't get stuck in the dark.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I got.